Welcome to the Happiness Matters podcast, where we'll explore happiness at work and show you how to coach yourself to be happier there and more successful too, no matter what.
Hello everyone, Happy New Year, Happy 2020. I'm Julia Seal and I'm the host of the Happiness Matters podcast, where it's all about learning how to coach yourself to happiness and success at work and beyond actually. I do hope that 2020 will be a special year for you. I wish you all the happiness. And of course, I hope you'll be spending some of your 2020 with me here on this podcast or coaching with me. Today's session might help you with your re-entry into a new year, a new working year, and a year of fresh hopes. At a time when your New Year's resolutions might still be feeling exciting or might have already lost their luster. It's our question and answer session to follow the previous episode 1.26, How to Feel Better Now. I took a break from work and the podcast over Christmas and New Year to spend time with my family here in Cape Town. My mum's health has deteriorated still further, and it was our last festive season with a child in the house, so Fraser and I really needed some downtime. I'm sure you did too. But I also thought a break would be useful for you, to let the work of the last session settle in for you and to give you an opportunity to practice this simple yet life-changing coaching tool, my 8-step How to Feel Better Now. Remember, the coaching we've been doing, coaching your negative emotions, is really courageous. And I want to say this to you up front. It's brave to choose to look at your negative emotions in the face. It's true, lion-hearted courage to say yes to your emotional evolution. So no matter what your experience has been in using this one or any of the other coaching tools, remember to acknowledge how much you are doing towards creating and coaching your own happiness. As you probably know by now, I often get sidetracked into squirrel moments, tidbits of information that brighten our days, take us down an unexpected rabbit hole, adding to our happiness and success. My squirrel moments here are inspired by Doug the talking dog from the movie Up. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, here's a little laugh. Doug the talking dog, the unconditional love dog, I have just met you and I love you, has a special collar that enables him to talk to humans, and he's very capable of great philosophical conversation. The only problem is that he gets distracted whenever he sees a squirrel. I find it hilarious, and it makes me smile every time. In the show notes, I've included a link to Doug's YouTube video. So today, we're celebrating 2 special days that are definitely squirrel moments. And I can hardly contain myself because today is actually Squirrel Appreciation Day. How funny is that? So today I'm just appreciating how interesting life is and how much we all bring to any situation based on our different backgrounds and interests, and to remind you to send me any of your squirrel moments from our self-coaching content. So National Squirrel Appreciation Day is not really about appreciating Doug the talking dog's squirrel moments. It's about appreciating squirrels. So in further appreciation, I will post some images of 2 eagle owlets we've been watching grow up in our local fields. It has been an incredible experience to watch them grow from tiny balls of white fluff to cheeky teenagers nagging their hard-working parents. But not such an incredible experience for the squirrels of the area. Usually our dogs spend their walks staring up into the trees, watching the squirrels teasingly leap from branch to branch. But now, after the birth of our baby owls, we're not seeing any squirrels. You'll find the photos from a local photographer on our Facebook and Instagram page, Happiness-Matters.coach. And here's the other squirrel moment. Today is also International Hug Day. It's a day set up 34 years ago by a Michigan-based Christian pastor, actually the year I finished high school, to connect people together with hugs and to encourage people to show their emotions and empathy for others. It has since taken off and is celebrated in families and in workplaces worldwide, including Sweden, Germany, Russia, and South Africa. Of course, I always recommend that you ask before you hug anyone. But today, why not think about who you could appreciate with a hug today, at home and at work, where appropriate. I've added some videos about International Hug Day social experiments on city streets, and you'll find them on our YouTube channel, Happiness-Matters.coach, and in the show notes for this episode. So in keeping with International Hug Day, and thinking about improving our connections and our relationships at work and at home this year, I want to let you know that my 8-week one-on-one coaching program for difficult relationships is now available for booking. So do you have a difficult boss, a negative coworker, or critical leadership team? How about at home? What was Christmas like? Does your difficult relationship with your mother-in-law or your sister spill over into your working day? And do these relationships bother you? Do they get in the way of your happiness and success? And I can help you to transform these troublesome relationships forever. You won't need to lose any more sleep worrying about work. You won't need a glass of wine after another horrid day, and nor will you bore your friends and family with the next installment of how awful they are or how worried you are about the state of your relationships. It's 2020 and time to do something about it. In just 8 weeks of individual coaching with me, we can end your worry, anxiety, anger, frustration, or even shame that you might be feeling about that difficult person you have in your life. Over 8 weeks, we coach one relationship, and you'll master 10 skills that you'll be able to apply to and transform any other relationship in your life for the rest of your life. It sounds good, doesn't it? Now, if you're interested, you can book a 20 minutes consult session with me to see how I can help you. Visit our website, Happiness-Matters.coach, and click on the yellow button called Coach with Julia. My next available dates for private coaching are in May, so why wait? Join me now and get it done right at the start of the year. Thinking ahead, if you're listening to this much further in the future, you'll find my current available dates also on the website. I'd love to coach with you to transform your most difficult relationships on your journey towards happy and successful no matter what. Okay, so now let's get into your questions on last episode's coaching tool, How to Feel Better. My coaching tool's 8-point process takes you step by step into how to feel better, how to process your negative emotions, your emotional suffering, and your unhappiness. It's a very easy, doable way to evolve yourself emotionally, to develop your emotional intelligence, and to increase your emotional courage. Question 1. I know I should do this process, Julia, but I really don't want to. I just don't want to call up these feelings again. I'd rather just forget them and move on. This comment actually came from a few of you who are looking back at an experience of negative emotion you've already had, most of you over the holiday season, and not wanting to call it up and re-experience it. Let's see if I can encourage you into using this coaching tool, despite your fears of having to relive the experience. First of all, of course, you don't want to call up a negative emotion, especially if it's particularly intense. Remember, we are motivated at a very instinctual level to survive above all. And according to our primal brain, our primitive survival brain, any negative emotions threaten our very survival. And so, there's no real motivation to dive into this work. It's no wonder you don't want to go there. But let's consider 2 things. Firstly, are you really over this negative emotion? Have you really moved on from it, or are you actually still living in it? Do you still feel that feeling every time you think about the situation? Or are you able to think about the situation, think about the person, and feel neutral? If not, then perhaps you're actually buffering against these feelings, using something else that seems more enjoyable to block or cover the original feeling. So, are you having a drink when you get home from work to forget that awful conversation with your colleague? Are you eating a lot before you go to bed for comfort after a stressful evening finishing emails? If you find yourself buffering with anything, overwork, overeating, or overdrinking, for example, then you are not over this negative emotion. You really are just avoiding it and setting yourself up for further difficulties and emotional pain. So that's the first incentive to go into this work. If you go through these 8 steps, the whole experience of your negative emotion starts to change. Your negative feelings about the situation get increasingly more manageable. The feelings can even dissolve completely, and neutral is possible for you. If you want to get a refresher about buffering, what it is, what it means, and to find out if you're doing it, and setting yourself up for more negativity and unhappiness in your future, listen back to episode 1.23, Are You Buffering Away Your Happiness?, where I talk about the multiple ways that you might be putting your best life on hold and denying yourself access to the best version of yourself. Then, the other thing to think about, this negative emotion is an evolving moment for you. It's an opportunity for you to evolve yourself. Say, for example, you started off the end of year festive season planning to have a great time. And then at the office Christmas party, you said something silly to your manager's manager. And you're still filled with horror and embarrassment, and you're dreading meeting him now that everyone's back at work. Or how about what was supposed to be a fun family get-together turned into a time of frustration, unspoken irritations, and childish moodiness, and now you're regretting a wasted holiday break and a year promising yet more family drama? This is the very time to do this work, the most beneficial time of all. As Gandhi said, continue to grow and evolve. So refresh your memory about your negative emotions being the best way to evolve and grow yourself in episode 1.24, Your Next Step, Evolution. And by the way, all the links I refer to here will be in the episode show notes on our website. Question 2. I had one really interesting question from a client asking, if I do try this, what can I expect? What is the worst that can happen? What we're doing in this entire negative emotions coaching process is learning how to separate out the various elements that make up your lived experience. So we've looked at your thoughts, at your emotions, at your feelings, and at your body's sensations. If you listen back from episode 1.17 when we first started, you'll see the process we've been going through. And this is what's so fascinating about processing our negative emotions, is understanding what they actually are. So I'll remind you quickly of something we covered in episode 1.20, Negative Emotions and Emotional Intelligence, where we looked at the differences between emotions, feelings, and sensations in order to understand them better and be able to coach ourselves. So to recap, the word emotions describes the mental or cognitive experience. The word sensations describes the experience in your actual body, the somatic experience, your lived felt experience, the energetic vibration that the thought sets up through your body. And the word feeling is the combination of the two. So feelings, for our purpose in coaching together, include a mental component and a physical component. So think of feeling sad and how it breaks down into a mental experience and a physical experience for you. So in this 8-step coaching tool, we're going through a process of connecting the mental, cognitive component with the sensational component, the somatic experience. So we're making the link between the thought and the somatic vibration in your body. So let's use an example from the earlier question. You said something inappropriate to your boss's boss at the Christmas party. Your thoughts have been going wild since then, thinking things like, I'm going to get fired, he'll never take me seriously, I won't get that promotion, how could I have been so stupid? And these thoughts create, possibly, a very painful feeling of shame. When you go through the 8-step coaching tool, you'll discover that shame for you in your body includes things like waves of a racing heart, breathlessness, prickly heat in your hands and face. So what we've done here is bring this horrid feeling of shame, the feeling that you think you can hardly bear to experience again, into the somatic lived experience, what it actually does to you. And what it does to you is racing heart, breathlessness, and prickly heat. And this is the worst that can happen to you from truly experiencing the feeling of shame. Just these vibrations in your body. And if you sit with those feelings for a few minutes, or those sensations, I should say, you sit with those sensations for a few minutes, they actually just start to dissolve. So the worst that can happen from coaching your negative emotions, really experiencing your negative emotions in order to free yourself from unhappiness and emotional suffering, is the actual vibration in your body. So the worst that can happen if you allow the feeling of anger to vibrate in your body is the vibration of anger in your body, which for me is shortness of breath, heat in my face, pounding in my stomach, and weakness in my legs. The worst that can happen if you just allow the feeling of embarrassment to vibrate in your body is the vibration of embarrassment in your body, which for me is tightness in my chest, no oxygen, and my head in a vice grip. These vibrational experiences cannot hurt you at all, and they are the worst that can happen. They only hurt us when we choose to act on them, and then we experience the results of our actions. Anger, acted out, could get you fired for hitting someone in the office. Shame, acted out, could get you avoiding essential meetings and being reprimanded by your boss. Embarrassment, acted out, could get you not volunteering for the next presentation where you'd usually shine. Even if you don't want to experience these physical sensations, these vibrations in your body, if you allow them to exist in you, they really don't last long before they change shape, dissolve, and turn into something else. And 10 minutes is the absolute maximum time they'll last. But for me, they usually change within seconds. Also, all the questions in the process about describing the vibration help to start dissolving it. And the one that works best for me is, what color is it? As soon as I ask myself this question and get a sense of the color, the vibrational lived experience dissolves. So anger is always shades of orange for me. And as soon as I see orange in my mind, the vibrations of heat, pounding, and weakness start to pass. Of course, remember when you try this process, if you keep on experiencing the sensations, then you need to watch your thoughts as you're thinking about the situation again and again and recreating more feelings that you'll want to allow and process through again. So it's a continual process, sparked by your thoughts. As an aside, I'm recommending a book that I found incredibly helpful when I was going through my divorce and was in so much emotional pain and suffering. It was written by South African David Patient in 2004 to help people who receive an HIV-positive diagnosis. His process of dealing with your fears by working through what's the worst that can happen, is nothing short of brilliant. I won't go into it here, but I will link to The Healer Inside You, the book, in this episode's show notes. So allowing the feeling, taking these few minutes, as I said, a maximum of 10, can change everything for you. Imagine never being daunted, scared to feel your anger or your fear or your shame. You can gain authority over your life in just 10 minutes. Quite incredible. And that's why I say this work is a gift. Here's a fun thought about our work together in the future for you. What color is your unhappiness at work? Now, question 3. What if the sensations, the actual vibrations, are too difficult to experience? So I think this question is answered mostly by what we've been talking about in the earlier question. But if you aren't finding the process easy, or if at any moment during the process you think it's too difficult, even if you find you get distracted by a flood of more thoughts and the story of the situation, take my coaching tool, 3 long, strong breaths, and use that. This is by far the kindest and most powerful thing you can do for yourself in the face of strong emotions. Please download it from our website. Then if you're finding it a different kind of difficult, as in you can't seem to get the process working or it doesn't seem to work for you, I suggest you need to get more specific, to break your emotion down into more specific feelings. This is where the work on your emotional repertoire, the extent of your emotional range, comes in handy, and you'll find this work in episode 1.20. This often happens when we try this work with too broad an emotion. Say, for example, you think you're unhappy at work, but you cannot access the vibrational experience of unhappy. Try to get more specific. I'm unhappy at work. What does that mean? It means I'm bored at work. So try working with bored. Or if that doesn't work, what does bored mean? Well, I sit at my desk and I feel hopeless. Now there's a feeling that we can work with. So you've gone smaller and smaller until you can now make progress. Also, you can use the episode on thought downloads, episode 1.19, Coaching Your Unhappiness, to help you access those more specific emotions. This reminds me of a work by my favorite poet, David Whyte, who you've heard me quote before, and this poem is called Start Close In. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. The rest of that gorgeous poem is in our playlist called Poetry on our YouTube channel, Happiness-Matters.coach. Then the very last question today is one from me to you, and a suggestion from me to use this tool in a different way. How about exploring my coaching tool with your positive emotions? Why don't you use my 8-step process, How to Feel Better, to explore what happiness feels like for you, what success feels like, what happiness at work, what meaningful work feels like inside your body. What are the vibrational sensations of happiness for you? Not only will this help you improve your emotional language, knowing what happiness and its variants feel like inside your body, but this work will serve you really well into Series 2, all about brain management. So what color is your happiness? Is it fast or slow or warm or cool? Let me know how this goes. I'd love to know more. And there we go. I hope these explanations and examples have helped you, and that they'll encourage you to try out this tool on any of your emotions, both positive and negative. Using this tool and the episodes preceding it builds your skill of allowing any feeling without resisting or reacting to it. It builds your confidence and trust in yourself that you can experience anything and process any and all feelings related to it. Remember, if you're willing to feel everything, you can do anything. And if you're willing to feel anything, you can do everything. Thanks so much for sending in these questions. They are useful for others to hear and also for me, as it helps me further clarify the concepts for you and brings depth to our coaching together. Please keep sending me your questions, as we regularly have Q&A sessions on topics introduced in the podcast, no matter where we are on our coaching journey. You can submit them to me directly on our website, on the menu item Ask Julia, or alternatively on our Facebook page, Happiness-Matters.coach. And as a reminder, or if you've just found the podcast, we started this mini coaching journey in episode 1.17. And you can download an overview of this negative emotions coaching journey to help you navigate the process. And of course, you can download all the tools since we first started the podcast on International Workers' Day from Happiness-Matters.coach under the free and fun section. And lastly, please do share the podcast with your friends and colleagues who'd be interested so they too can explore how to coach themselves to happiness and success. Or any of your colleagues who are unhappy at work and think that finding a new job in the new year will be a solution to all their problems. They can find the podcast by searching for Happiness-Matters.coach. Next week is Fun at Work Day, and so we'll be considering what Fun at Work Day is all about and how you can actually use it to coach yourself, even if you're not feeling the fun in January, or even if you think the whole idea of Fun at Work Day is a waste of time. Let's use it to coach ourselves. And after this, we'll get back to considering our negative emotions at work and our unhappiness by looking at menopause at work and toxic emotions at work. There really is no better time to do this work together. Bye for now, and a big hug from me, sitting here in hot and windy Cape Town. I can't wait to spend 2020 with you.
Thanks for joining us on this Happiness Matters podcast. Do join us again here next week on Tuesday. You can subscribe to this series at Apple Podcasts on iTunes, or you can sign up for it on our website, Happiness-Matters.coach. That's Happiness-Matters.coach. COACH. Also, you can join our conversation on Facebook by following us there. Our Facebook page is also Happiness-Matters.coach.